A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to another conversation on Man Up. Kikao cha wanaume. This is where we sit down as men and talk about issues that affect the 21st century man. How to cope, how to be a man who is responsible in society, a man responsible in the family. That's what these conversations are all about. So kama kawaida, vuta stool ama kiti karibu na TV. We have something interesting we want to talk about tonight. We are looking at dealing with burnout. Dealing with burnout. What is burnout? How do we deal with it? What are some of the scenarios that will create a burnout in you as a man? I've got two gentlemen in studio with me to help with this conversation. First and foremost, director at Inuka Leadership Training, Peter Kariuki, in studio with us. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
Glad
to be here.
Great.
Kwa kikao.
Yeah. Inuka Leadership Training, what is it about?
Inuka Leadership Training is a leadership organization. We do a lot of training. Started off with training young people in universities, graduated to training people in the workplace. So now we also handle corporates, specifically on soft skills training. So team building, conflict resolution, some of those soft skills areas are our areas of expertise. So that's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Good to have you. We also have Corporate Affairs Manager and Counselor Richard Wafula. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Good to have you.
Yes, I'm happy to be in this show to talk about men's stuff.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, rarely do we, talk about men.
Yeah.
So this is a good opportunity to really talk about men.
In fact, I'll begin with you.
Yes.
Burnout, when we talk about burnout. What is burnout?
Yes. So burnout is a form of stress. Okay. Burnout is a form of stress. It's actually, a high level stress occasioned by a number of things. Okay, it could be social, it could be psychological, and of course psychological, emotional as well. Yeah. Physical, so where you find yourself, the body demand reacting to something, and you have gotten to a position or a place where you're overwhelmed. Okay, you can't really now function well. There's too much pressure for you as a result of what you're going through that is stressful in nature, that over a period of time you have not been able to deal with it. It starts from stress. So stress is the body demand to a physical need, or an emotional need or psychological need. Yeah. So if you're not responding well to this need, or rather experience that you're having, then with time it now transitions now from stress to burnout. So where you feel extremely fatigued, okay, and if you're not careful, then this extreme fatigue will really translate sometimes into depression. Okay. So there's need to actually, get to watch out, get to, pick that sign, that, you need to take care of yourself, and I'm sure we'll talk more about it.
Wangalia dashboard, come on. The red Check light engine. Is on. Check engine. Yeah, you need to do something about it. I'm just wondering, men, women, do you think men tend to burn out more than women, or women burn out more than men? What would you say to that?
I think burnout happens to both groups. Yeah. The expression is what's different. All right. The expression is very different. So you'll find that the burnout associated with women a lot of times is emotional burnout. All right, because of how in touch they are with their emotions. Yeah. For the man, the expression for burnout for a man is very different. It comes out as detachment. All right. Depersonalization. The things that used to excite you don't excite you anymore. So you even feel indifferent. So for the woman, it's different. It's an avalanche of emotions and all these things going on, and she's able to talk, reach out to different people. But for the man, he shuts up, keeps quiet, detaches from things that excite him, including his family, work, children. Things that just generally excited him don't excite him anymore. So that's one of the ways that you can actually pick out that a man is going through burnout. Yeah. So they do experience it, but the expression is slightly different. Yeah.
There's something we were talking about earlier before we started the show, and I was asking about, is it that men don't know how to take care of themselves?
Yeah.
To some extent, because then a man, until it is obvious that there's something that is affecting this man that would make him not to function, then in many cases men will keep going. no, keep going.
Yes.
You know,
as long as the car is going,
as long as the car is moving, let's keep moving.
Yes.
But you see, as you keep moving, what are you also doing? You're actually, you know, you're actually inhibiting, you're actually masking, you're actually, you know, suppressing what you need to be dealing with. So a number of cases we have seen from men is when it is so obvious that this man is actually sick. You know, sick in the sense that now the burnout has, you know, resulted into a physical ailment.
It can result in a physical illness.
Yes, it can result into a physical illness.
Okay.
And that's how, by the way, even men now show up for support. When now they're actually ailing physically as a result of that, you know, that burnout that they have been carrying over a period of time. Because yes, then there's a direct relationship between that stress burnout and your physical ailment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, unless they see it, a number of people, I'm not saying all of us men, but a number of us, and to a good extent, you know, a majority of the men.
Yes.
Unless then they get to that situation, they never show up for support.
Yeah. No, there's something you had said earlier that men take better care of
other
things than
not themselves. Yes.
Yeah.
There's just something about a man in wanting to take charge over things and his environment.
Yeah.
And so we wake up to the grind of making money, making sure that we are helping people, we are contributing to the society. Those are the hallmarks of manhood, you know. So when it comes to self-care, it looks very soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like self-care. I take time, reflect, for what, you know? So it looks like it's those soft things.
Yeah.
And so we are good at doing it everywhere else in terms of showing up, but sometimes the biggest task for a man is showing up for himself. We don't, and sometimes the people around us are the ones who push us. I've handled a couple of counseling sessions with my wife, and 80 to 90% of the time a couple comes for counseling or a man comes for counseling, they've been pushed by the wife or by the girlfriend. They've been dragged. At some point they've been lied to. They're like, can I take you out for a date? They're like, yes. Then they find the two of us. You know? And so we need to be okay with finding help as a man. All right? In aviation, they'll tell you that in case of an emergency and the oxygen mask drops, you put it on yourself first before you put it on someone else. So yes, you could be pushing this thing until everything in you collapses, but if you took some time to check out into a pit stop, take care of yourself. Put in the oxygen mask. Make sure that you're okay first. You'll be a more productive human being or a man than pushing yourself and you're limping. So I think one of the things we can agree today is that it's important for men to have some time of soul care. Self-care is very important for the man.
Wow. I just wonder, does the way we've been cultured and the society we live in push this narrative? Because men, we live in the society where as a man, you go out and you just do your thing, man. Do your thing until you make it. Fake it till you make it.
Yes, and I want to begin by saying, you know, emotions is not a respect of gender. It's not a respect of, you know, whether you're a man or a woman. I mean, the fact that we are human beings, one of the things that makes us human beings is that we all have, you know, the emotional moments. You know, we all have those psychological moments. And yes, the society has contributed to some extent in making a man, you know, respond to, you know, situations the way we do. Because then a man is seen to be that, you know, strong, you know, that person who, you know, shouldn't break down. In fact, I don't know whether you have observed in times people have lost their loved ones. And there you are as a man and you're being told, you know, you have to be strong for your people.
Be strong for,
you know, you have to be
family.
strong for the family. So if you're seen perhaps even tearing, I mean, people would wonder, why are you tearing? You're a man. But I always say, I mean, the fact that you're a man still makes it possible that you should be going through emotional moments. So you should be, you know, vulnerable. I always tell men, please allow ourselves to be vulnerable to those moments, because then what gets in us, you know, psychologists will tell you what gets in us has to come out at some point. So you keep, I mean, men keep taking, you know, in. We keep taking in. I mean, we have gone to work, we have a bad day, we absorb. We have met a friend, we have a bad day, we absorb. We have gone home, we have a bad day with our family, we absorb. I mean, everything that happens within a man's life is just being taken in. So you can imagine what is in us, men, you know, waiting to explode.
Yeah.
There's a research statistic that indicates that more women think about suicide, but more men die of suicide. Yes.
Why is that the case?
What
more
we-
women
what-
are thinking about it.
What we are talking about today. For a woman, she will actually quickly run to a fellow woman or someone and talk about
it.
You know, cry about it, shout about it. But what happens with men? There are three key topics that we like talking about. Generally, we associate it with politics, women,
And sports.
sports.
Yeah.
Cars.
Yes. Yeah. So you see, even when we are actually going through a very difficult moment,
Yeah.
we don't put ourselves out there to actually talk about what is happening. We want to
Okay.
remain strong in the face of the society who expects us to be that strong. But inwardly, we are actually suffering.
I'm just wondering, is it possible for a man to be going through a burnout? Because I believe this thing comes in stages.
Yeah.
It's not just a thing that jumps on you.
Yeah.
So is it possible that you could be going through or developing a burnout and you have no idea?
Yes.
Absolutely, because you see, burnout is not, you can't diagnose, sometimes you can't easily diagnose
Yeah.
burnout. It's like a flu. If you get a flu, we'll all know, because you're coughing, you're sneezing, and so
Yes.
you can tell, check out, this guy has a flu.
Yes.
But burnout builds up internally, and there's a lot of things that are collapsing in you. So there's an emotional collapse,
Yeah.
there's a mental collapse, there's a physical collapse, there's a spiritual collapse. So when all these things are just slowly being, what's it called, collapsing,
Yeah.
because of stress, anxiety, because of pressure from work, because of a boss, because of a project you're doing that's not adding up,
Yeah.
sometimes it might take time before we can see it on you. And sometimes we'll see it on you when we look at your eyes, James, and say, your eyes are
Jalala.
Jalala.
Yeah.
Then now we can start looking a bit deeper and say, there's some signs of insomnia.
Yes.
You're very irritable. You're very angry. On this on this issue,
Yes.
you've been so angry,
Yes.
and you normally respond to this issue very differently on normal occasions. So those are, it builds up internally, but people who are a bit more discerning can look at you and say,
Yeah.
now we are starting to see. You're tired, you're coming to work late, there's a lot of apathy, you're very cynic, you know, you're completely detached.
Yes.
Now the community around you at that point can pick it out and say, okay, there's a problem with our friend here, what can we do to assist? All right? And so it can build internally, but at some point it will start showing off externally.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just wondering, are there things that men who are in that space, and maybe they have no idea what they're going through, are there things they gravitate towards just to try and create that stability that was there before?
Yes, to some men, by the way. So burnout affects men in different ways, as he says. To some men, they'll actually get into very negative coping strategies. Okay, so this is a man who all of a sudden will get into reckless behavior, either sexual or other very risk-engaging behaviors.
Yeah.
Okay. To some men, they'll turn this burnout into even a worse situation by being workaholics. So they will immerse themselves in work. So you see a colleague, you see a friend who all of a sudden, you know, gets to the office very early in the morning, leaves very late, and you're imagining this guy is a hard worker.
Yeah.
Okay. So they forget about their personal space and personal life. Okay. They're actually dealing with, you know, the symptoms that he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. In
Yeah.
terms of the burnout. Okay. In terms of the positive coping strategies, those are just a few, but in terms of the positive coping strategy, there are those who will actually take time out completely. They will withdraw and leave everything, leave office, leave everything, and just go and have their space.
And they akajitafute.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to encourage the viewers that if you're that man who you have gotten to that place that we are talking about here, you know, get time and just go and search yourself, find yourself again. Imagine that work that you're giving a lot of time to actually accomplish your goals, and you're not there to do it. So you come first.
You're not there.
I always say, I mean, David Sacher in his book talks about there's no health without mental health. You know, so in all that you're doing, if you're not functioning well mentally, then I mean, there's little you'll achieve
Very
out
true.
of it. So
very true.
get time, get space, go deal with this. Get support system. Let men. I want to encourage men. Watching, get that support system, so that then you're able to not just talk about politics, but talk about yourself as well.
Maybe politics is another way we cope. Politics and soccer. Those ones we can talk until the cows come back home. Anyway, we are taking a short break. We are talking about burnout and how to deal with burnout as men. When we come back in the second part, we'll give more solutions on how you can be able to deal with this issue. As always, 1 minute. Kimbia jikoni. Uchukue kopo la maji. And then we'll be back for the second part.
Tomorrow on The Corner.
As Christians, we believe that it is the Bible that defines what we term as moral and not moral.
Today it's social media, tomorrow it's how we dress, tomorrow it's how we speak.
There's need for us to be very intentional on what you stand for and what you do not stand for.
And the big question today is, what exactly is the difference between moral values and lifestyle?
Don't miss out on The Corner tomorrow at 8:30 p.m.
Welcome back to the second part of Man Up. Tonight we are talking about dealing with burnout. As a man, could you be going through a burnout and you have no idea? What can you do about it? We're hanging out with Peter Karaoke and Richard Wafula, helping us in this conversation. Even before we talk about solutions, I'm just wondering if somebody keeps going and they just keep going and going and going. Apart from, you talked about physical illnesses, what are some other things that could happen in a man's life if he just keeps going without getting the help he needs?
What will happen is, just like a car, let me use the analogy of a car.
Yeah.
If your car keeps going and there's this constant light on the, on the dashboard to check your engine or oil is low, you can only cover certain mileage before the entire system breaks down.
Yeah.
And so some of the things that will give in, of course, will be your joy. It will give in, it will cave in. Your happiness will also cave in.
Yeah.
Your peace will cave in. At some point, your relationships will also start being affected.
Because you won't be a pleasant person.
You won't
to
be a
around.
pleasant person to be around, and also you're not living life at an optimal level.
Okay.
You're suboptimal. So you're pushing yourself to do things. You're manufacturing energy to do things. All right. So you have to constantly pick yourself up, do stuff. So you will break down. Your family might break down. Your close relationships might break down. You might lose your job, all right? So those are the extremes. And to the extreme now that Richard talked about is a suicide element, which a lot of men now end up getting into because now they feel completely detached. No one understands them. I'm alone in this world. I want to die. If you look at the example of Elijah in the Bible, 1 Kings 19, after doing such an amazing thing, he takes off. He's been threatened, he takes off. And one of the things he says is, can I die?
Can I die? Yeah.
Can I die? Because this thing is too much for me.
You wonder.
So that's not the extreme of burnout. All right? That's the end of the spectrum. We need to avoid that, pull ourselves back and catch ourselves and get help as soon as we can.
When you say that, no wonder God allowed him to rest and God fed him.
And that's a solution. So we'll come to the solution. Food is a big thing for men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before solutions, I'm just wondering, what kind of man is more likely to get into a burnout? Is it somebody who's high profile, busy job, or is it just a regular person with normal kind of lifestyle?
Yeah, so my observation on that, this high profile man, this go-getter man, this person who is in a leadership position, they're likely to actually experience this burnout, because then it goes without mention that they are actually carrying a number of responsibilities with them in their positions, either at work or in just the society. So those positions or the responsibility or the roles that they carry, would warrant them to actually spend more time to accomplish these roles.
Yes.
And that would also mean that they spend more time in accomplishing this. So in many cases, you realize that this kind of men we are talking about would rarely actually find time for themselves.
Yeah.
Okay? They'll find time for others.
But not for
Peter
themselves.
said, they'll find time for others, but they won't find time for themselves.
Yeah.
So these are the people who, more likely than others, are likely to experience this burnout that you're talking about. Yeah.
So now you realize you're there.
Yeah.
What do I do? What are some of the things I can do to change this scenario?
One of the things you can do is to find help. All right. There's a gentleman who had a quote on his table, and it was written, if I was to go back again, I would ask for help. If I was to go back in life, I would ask for help. Yeah. So let's not be shy about asking for help. That's number one. Number two, it's important to do an energy audit. So we do time audits. We are very good in time management. We've been taught time management all along. One of the areas we need to get into is an energy audit. So what depletes your energy? If you're to sit down and write on one column on this side, energy booster.
Yeah.
And it's not Monster and Red Bull. You know, there's some people use that. But what gives me energy? Write them down. What depletes my energy? Maybe it's a work colleague who depletes the living daylights out of your system. But you spend 3 or 4 hours a day with them.
Oh my goodness.
So you need to reduce time. So you audit this side and say, okay, these areas deplete my energy completely, and remove time from them. If you have control, spend a bit more, spend less time on this, and now spend time on things that build your energy. So that's one of the ways to do like an energy budget. People, family, there's some calls, by the way, you shouldn't be picking. All right? We shouldn't be picking it. We are not a call center. Men, we are not a call center. So it's not that every number, even from committee, you're still picking. Responding to them. Wewe ni nani, unataka nini? You know, it's all those are energy depleters. So you audit, and then now at least start from somewhere and say, okay, I've seen my rhythms every day. I've seen my rhythms every week. These are the things that drain my energy. I will spend less time here. Here are the things that build my energy. Exercise, workout, a conversation with someone, a book, swimming, you know, and you allocate a bit more time on those things.
It's interesting you say that, because when you begin to study people who have high output, high productivity, there are things they never even give the time of day to. Their days are so structured, the things they do they're so intentional in what they do and what they can't even give their time to. You know, so I think that's interesting. What else can somebody do?
I like the term, you know, energy audit. You know, very highlighting, by the way, for me, and very informative as well. And I just want to, you know, just add to what he's saying, that one of the other things that, you know, we should be doing as men, and I like, you know, anytime I get an opportunity to speak to mental health about men and just generally people, is that there's one thing we call mental health assessments. Okay? You know, don't wait until you're actually, you know, before a doctor for you to be told that you are struggling with burnout or depression. And I always, you know, like using a very simple analogy as well. For those that are driving, when you just, after this show, get to your car, you start your car, and you realize it's making some funny noise, the next call is of your mechanic, who are in our speed dials. You know, but how many people take time to even just understand how they're functioning mentally? And you know, this what we call some mental health audits are not for just the sick. Again, for long the society has stigmatized you know, these people, that you have to either be sick, you are immoral, or bewitched or something. Actually, what we're speaking about, mental health, is for normal people, me and you, normal people going through normal issues. So I'll encourage that, you know, once in a while, just like we go for, you know, annual visits, doctor visits, or quarterly, you know, visits, also make it intentional to actually visit, you know, a therapist for a mental health assessment. You know, it'll tell you, by the way, hey, you are either gravitating towards the burnout, your anxiety levels are this, you could be having some signs of depression, you could be having some signs of other mental illnesses, or absence of it. Then you have that conversation, a very candid conversation with this therapist, who will now be able to even help you get more insights on how to be able to deal with, you know, whatever the situation that you're actually going through. So that is important. Let's find time to actually just take care of our mental health. It pays dividends. It pays dividend, because then when you're functioning, you know, well mentally, then other areas of your life, you know, including the relationships that he's talking about, will be okay. Otherwise, then you start to displace emotions. Okay? You're at work, you're a team lead, people find you very grumpy, people find you very unapproachable. And I mean, that will affect your work and the output as well.
What about a timeout? Is it important for a man to take that timeout where you're just alone?
Stepping back is important, James. But more important than that is figuring out what works for you. All right?
Okay.
So you need to figure out what your rest rhythm looks like.
Okay.
And you can test it. All right? Try sleep in one day. You know? See how it works. Is your body responding? Are you feeling relaxed?
Yes.
You know, we can't say now everyone should sleep in to rest. There are some guys who go for holidays, they come back, they want a holiday after the holiday.
Yes.
Because it's completely worn them out.
Yes.
So we need to figure out what works for ourselves. And that you iterate. Okay, I've tried sleeping, it's not working. I've tried tennis, it's not working. I've tried a conversation with a colleague, it's not working. I've tried spending time with kids, it's working. All right? Then you realize part of my rest rhythm is actually time out with children.
Yes.
Okay? And so you invite all your nieces and nephews at home, or you find out where they are at, or you take them out in the park, and you just spend some 2-3 hours uninterrupted with them, and you come back so refreshed.
Yes.
That's after you figured out what works for me. Some other people will figure out it's a long drive.
Yeah.
Okay, that's time out. You just want to be alone. Drive through Tigoni or somewhere. Green, Smama, Chuna, you know, Majani, you know, look at it. Drop it back to it. Speak to it. Enjoy the air if it works for you. Some men take long drives to Namanga or Boda, come back. Others have bikes, they go. So whatever. Some will say, no, it's expensive. No, what you have something within your reach right now that you can engage in that's a lifeline for you.
Very true.
So look for it, do it. Some men, it's baking. They throw down in the kitchen like, I know a man who, when you visit them, they tell you, everyone move to the living room. This is my space.
This is my domain.
This is my domain.
Yes.
And they are whipping all these things, the steak and everything. By the time they're coming out, they're the most happiest human beings on earth.
Wow.
Because they've had such a blast baking and measuring and making the steak and checking the temperature. So we all have to figure out what works for ourselves.
I like that.
There are bare minimums like exercise, go for it. But more than that also, let's find out what works for you. What works for me as Pete is good conversations. This is for me. So I figured out it works for me. So I tend to have men and company that we can just have good solid conversations. That recharges my spirit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Parting shot, my time is up.
Wow. I mean, emotions are not a respecter of gender. We are human beings. That's the bare minimum. I mean, we are human beings. So I want to ask and encourage my fellow men to reach out. Reach out. Accept that you're a human being who, at some point, you go through a difficult moment. And it's okay. It's actually okay to go through those moments. So, but it's also okay when, to realize and be aware that you're going through those difficult moments. Reach out for help.
Great. Parting shot?
My parting shot will be, we have more control than we think we have. And so to the extent to which it's possible, let's design our environment for success. Let's teach our environments how they should respond to us. So if you're at work, if you run a business, if you're in a family, if you have children, let's design those spaces to enable the kind of man or men we want to become. It's possible.
I'm out of time for today. Thank you so much for being a part of Man Up. Men, remember, you're not Superman. There's only one Superman. His name is Jesus. That's why we depend on him. You and I are not Superman. That's why God said, work for 6 days, take a day off and rest. Every 6 days, you take a day off and you rest. He designed our bodies and he knows how they should function at optimum. So I hope that today's conversation has been beneficial to you. If you need to take a long drive, if you need to have solid conversations, if you need to hang out with kids, if you need to bake, if you're baking, invite me. My joy will come after you have finished baking. Have yourselves a great evening. We'll catch up again next week.
Fresh, insightful, and in-depth stories from current affairs, opinion, inspiration, lifestyle, church-related articles, and so much more on www.familynews.today. Insights at your fingertips.